Hey, everybody, and thanks for joining us on Tripod, TriDigital's podcast. I'm Rafael Sangili, the creative director here at TriDigital and the host of Tripod. Today, I'm actually joined by our CXO, one of the co-founders of TriDigital, Adrian Q, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about today about sales follow-up. What are some good things to keep in mind? Because marketing's not the whole pie, right? You got to make sure you're following up from a sales perspective, and what are some of the good things to do to make sure that you're paving the way for a good, successful ROI on any of the campaigns that you run. So look out for that today, and I'll talk a little bit more about, we have some other fun stuff we talk about on the podcast too, but I'm sure you're going to enjoy meeting Adrian. All right, everybody. Hey, Adrian, thanks for coming by and joining us here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime.
Cool.
I mean,
I know you work here.
I'm forced to be here.
You were basically obligated, but either way, we'll get power through this shit.
Yeah.
Right, so anyway, man, thanks for coming on, dude. Dude, as always, bro, I know last time we got a chance to meet you and talk to you about the stuff you're doing. Man, we've had a crazy year, dude. A lot of stuff already going on. Tell me a little bit about what's been happening from in your end of the world. I know you've been taking over a whole bunch of responsibilities.
Yeah.
Got a lot of sales coming in, working with a lot of your clients on some of their sales initiatives and their marketing strategy. What's been new in Adrian's world?
Well, I mean, typically for us, being the creative directors and sales and everything else, it's just, this is the time of year that everyone's looking to market, right? This is the time of year that everyone's looking to either revamp while they're doing their marketing or maybe do some marketing they haven't done before, or just making the New Year's resolution, man. And they're trying to do that. And so a big part of that is getting their stuff ready for 2018. Obviously, that's a big component of what we do. And just like every other company out there, right, we're consistently always changing and evolving our process, and that's a lot of what I have to do, right? Is to work with creative directors and sales, and just overall how to improve the overall experience, right, for people who work and engage with us. So, hopefully today I can, there's another component of all this is being able to provide some education. Hopefully today I can help out, and for those of you who might be doing your own thing or attempting to do your own thing in 2018, hopefully I can help you maybe shore up some of the sales side that's going to come up as a part of your marketing.
No, for sure, man. Like, part of the thing is, you can do a great job building out a marketing campaign for the years 2018. Like you said, everyone gets all excited. Yeah. I got all this stuff I got to do. The movie events, we're going to do this, whatever, brewery. Yeah, raging, whatever you do, whatever you do to get people to want to come to you.
Right.
And then no one thinks about the sales side. It's like, hey, are your sales matching up with what you're doing from a marketing perspective, right? I mean, look, you can have all the fun you want, make a crazy video, whatever, but if you don't have a process to capture all that and make it turn into, money, you're not, then what are you doing, man?
Man, it's really great leads. They just have no money.
Yeah, what's all this about? Dude, we've done a ton of marketing. Zero sales, right? So, yeah, we want to talk a little bit about that, man. Like, what does it take to really follow up from a sales perspective? Because I think we've been running into that a lot, right?
Yeah.
As creative directors, man, one of our biggest gripes has always been like, dude, what are you doing, bro? We got you a bunch of leads and you're not even calling them, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, what is the right mindset someone needs to take when they're approaching this thing? I know that, look, having your sales guys do this, sales guys all gripe about this, right? But from a leadership perspective, as you're motivating your sales guys to follow up on some of these things, what are some of the big things you've seen or mistakes that people have made when they're approaching the follow-up to some of the marketing campaigns that we run out there?
Well, there's a couple questions there. Like, number one, I think that, I guess to start off this way, all sales professionals are good at selling one person, and that's their boss, more than anyone else. So, and I'm even saying this to sales professionals. I'm a sales professional myself. That's where I come from. And don't get me wrong, every sales professional, no matter how good you are, you have your seasons, right? You have your times you're unbelievable, and sometimes where you have some famine. If you're a great sales professional, typically you do a really good job building a pipeline that helps you through those slow times, but it is a part of life. It's a part of engagement. I think what really is the problem, the reason I said that right now is whenever you have sales professionals who are not willing to be a part of that process. And that there comes a whole lot of things, even personal things, like, are you okay with some rejection? Are you just okay with that? I mean,
I'm not.
I never am, but that's fine.
And I don't know about you talking about seasons, bro. I close all the time, 24/7.
And exactly. And that's exactly the type of attitude people run around, right? And so the reason I'm bringing this up is because, number one, you need to understand, is the sales, and again, this is not to say that you have to release anyone or anything like that. It's more so, if you have a sales professional right now that may have this attitude, it may be worth to first start off this entire thing with a conversation around, hey, you're hired to do a job. I'm hired. I do my job. Everyone here has a job. Every engineer has a KPI. You have a KPI. Doesn't mean that we don't want you to succeed. And candidly, every single leader in an organization should approach any employee with the sense of, I want to help you be successful, right?
Yeah.
So by first starting off with the conversation and seeing how willing they are to be a part of the process, and and there's a lot that goes into this, right? Are you going to be a type of sales professional that's going to make some phone calls, and the moment the guys or the female, whoever it is, right, he, she, folks, right, whatever they say, that you're going to immediately shut down that lead and say it's not a good lead? That's also a problem, right? Sure. I think one of the things I want to do in this podcast is not only help you understand what the process is by which you should follow up, but also understand that there are different levels of a lead and how that functions, and so that you may be able to take those non-believers or people that maybe you felt at first were not a right fit, and maybe make them or help them transform into a fit. I'm not saying that you're going to take bad clients and make them great clients. I'm just saying that there are opportunities in which you have those people that are right in the middle that can very easily be swayed to be in a good spot and a good client. So really the first step you need to take is you need to get serious about sales. I mean, in marketing, it's one of those things where you can showcase whatever activities you want. Right? Everyone has a different thing. And realistically, the definition around leads is simply someone who's showing interest. That is it.
Yeah.
That's not a form submission. That's not, I'm ready to buy. That's not, I have a bag of money, I'm ready to come to your house or your building or wherever and just drop it on your desk.
You have clients that buy stuff with a bag of money?
Yeah.
That's
how form submissions function.
That's cool.
Yeah. Nice. So, but again, that's the impression that some people give, and you don't want to have that type of relationship with the sales. I think the sales need to understand, and so does marketing, both together. You need to understand that they work together for the same goal, right? So feedback that sales gives the marketing and feedback that marketing gives the sales is very valuable both ways. However, just like you hold everyone accountable in your service desk, you need to hold sales accountable just the same way. Marketing accountable just the same way. That means that you need to change the mindset of which, how long is it okay for a sales professional to be on payroll and not make sales, right? Regardless of the situation. How long is it okay for a sales professional not to hit activities regardless of whatever marketing? I'm assuming that if you brought on a sales professional and you knew you didn't have marketing at first, some of the reviewers may not have any marketing right now. You brought them in with the intention of you are going to pound pavement. You are going to go and generate your own leads, which some sales professionals will do. Some of the better ones will look for firms who have marketing because they understand how much easier it makes their job and just how much better the engagements usually are. So you just need to establish what that is, make sure that that's followed, and make sure that you, to a degree, keep that, make sure that that is solid, right? Leadership drives where the organization goes. So whenever you're leaning on certain things, well, that's what you're going to get that, right, as a result. I'm not trying to be negative or anything, but I'm just trying to set up the beginning mindset of, I'm going to go into 2018 and make some marketing changes, but I'm also going to make sure that I make the right type of activities so that I can transform my marketing from where it starts, where it is, and make it better.
Yeah. I think from what you're saying is that, like, it's marketing and even sales to a certain extent is not just a series of home runs.
No.
I mean, for me, it is. But it's not. I mean, like, it's a bunch of small stuff.
Absolutely.
It's a bunch of follow-up calls. It's a bunch of little tiny things that add up to big sales over a long period of time, right? And I mean, that's what I think we have to bring across here is that, when a lead comes in, right, like you said, lead's not, maybe that's not a form submission right away. People telling you, hey, dude, I'm ready to do this. All right, just send me a contract. I don't even want to hear a pitch. I'm ready to go. Right? That's very rare or never happens.
Right.
Most times people are just like, oh man, this seems pretty cool. And they click on an email and they'll jump on the thing and then like, oh, all right, cool, I'm busy now.
Great.
And I'll bounce out of that to something else, even if it's something they really need, right?
Yeah.
So sales guy, it's important to follow up and just do all the series of touches, right? But again, not to say every lead's going to turn into something, because they're not. Some leads might not go anywhere. It's part of the process. Most of them are, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think it is that, like, or maybe just timing, right? Let's just say I send out an email Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right? When's a good time for a sales guy to follow up on all those open and click-throughs?
Well, yeah. I mean, number one, to comment on that, regardless of what kind of marketing you're trying to do, if you're trying to do some kind of a content marketing, Inc. style of marketing, number one resource and one of the best ways to get in contact with folks is through email. Yeah. Not only that, but it's the one that you have the most control. Even if you do social media or any kind of PPC, in the end of the day, you are still subject to the control of that company. LinkedIn, Google, Facebook. Facebook almost always will shut down any organic type of branding unless you do their actual PPC or their advertisement campaigns.
Yeah.
So you really don't have a lot of control. So the email campaigns offer you not only a more inexpensive way to be able to contact a group of people, but you also have full control over what they see and how you engage with them and what kind of results you can see. So to make that clear, emails is definitely a great way to start. Now, once you make those campaigns, you build your annual plan, you start campaigning. The first thing I would say from a timing perspective is that time is of the essence. Yeah. The moment someone clicks on something, here's the reality, no matter how good your content is or how amazing it is, yes, you will have some people that are going to form some people are going to email you directly, and that's awesome. That's going to happen. Hopefully we create avid readers. But the reality is that most of those folks who may have had some type of interest, they're clicking on it, they're looking at the landing page, they're reading some stuff, and then life happens.
Yeah.
Their business happens, they need to go do something. I can't even tell you what I clicked through 2 days ago. And I'm genuinely typically interested in what I'm clicking through 99% of the time.
Right.
Very rarely do I trip and fall on the click through button. I just don't, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, timing is key. So I would say that you must reach out within 24 hours, late as 48 hours, even at that point. I would say that as soon as you get the campaign, a few hours is okay, obviously. You know, it's okay. But you want to reach out within that day.
But are you calling and saying like, hey, bro, I saw you clicked on this. Let's do this. Give me your credit card. Or how do you like, what are you calling with?
No, exactly. Well, let's start with, so first off, yes, within 24 to 48 hours. The next thing is frequency, right? We all know that sales professionals, and if you don't know this, no engagement you don't convert to sales without at least anywhere between 4 to 8 activities. Just that is the average industry amount. Some people can close at 4, some people close at 8. Somewhere in between there is how many activities and times you're going to have to touch somebody or someone's going to engage with you before they become a sales engagement. So I would always suggest to reach out at least minimum of between 4 to 8. So you want to be somewhere maybe around 5 or 6 is about average, and that's a good amount.
That's a combination of calls and emails, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is a combination of both, right? And on top of that, you also want to time your follow-up based off of your campaigns. So if you have one campaign go out and in 2 weeks you have another campaign, but you're doing your follow-up and maybe your 6th touch is the same week that the other campaign goes out, not only are you following up on something that's now older and you need to update what you're following up on, but you may run the risk of touching someone so often, in fact, that they end up not wanting to engage. They get scared off. Now, don't take that as, oh, that gives me an excuse not to follow up.
Yeah.
No. You have to plan those amount of activities prior to the next campaign. That way it fits nicely. You're talking about the right things. And when that person clicks on the second campaign, you go and when you reach out to them, now you evolve your message, right? You're going to change it and you're going to talk about both topics or one or whatever else makes sense. So to go back to your question, answer the question around specifically what do I message my calls or emails around? It's gonna revolve around a couple of things. One, it's gonna revolve around what your company's about. If you're a really consultative type firm, obviously offering some type of consultation or just a relationship is always okay. However, the approach that I usually go with, or just in general, I've seen that's been very successful, is go with more of a helpful experience type of touch. A lot of the stuff that's going on today has to do with life experiences. Content in general is very educational. We want to provide value. So think of it in that sense. I want to provide value. I don't want to sell you. I want to provide value and build a relationship in which I become credible and you want to engage with me. So even though you're doing an outbound activity, you should still treat it the same way. So if you reach out, an easier way to start that conversation with someone who's only clicked through once is, hey, thank you so much for engaging with us. I hope everything you saw was great. Did you find all the information you're looking for? Oh, you're trying to sell me? No, I'm not. I'm a client experience manager here. I just want to make sure that you're having a great experience, whether you are a client or not.
Yeah.
You can, and again, I'm not telling you to fib in your position, but the reality is you should take the position of, I just want to make sure you have everything you need. And if you need more information, I'm more than willing to provide you that based on the topic that you talked about. So if it was around BDR, do you have fears? Do you know if your backup is working? Are you afraid of things happening? Can I provide you some information, either make you feel a little bit better about that fear or prepare you better, whether you work with us or not? Can I be that person who provides you the value that you're looking for? It's basically what it comes down to. The other thing to look out for is treating different leads differently, right? You want to treat them based on what they've done. So if one person's only reached out to me once or engaged once, then I'm not going to be so hard. I'm going to be a little bit softer in the touch. I'm going to make sure that I provide more of that educational feel. But if that individual now has clicked through a campaign, read an ebook, watched a video, done something else, now they're at 5 or 6 touches. At that point, I think it's safe to say that they're extremely interested in what you're doing. That's not typical. Typically, if you're doing that, you're doing a really good job. You have readership, you have loyalty, and those are the type of folks that you at that point maybe want to reach out and build that relationship instantly and be able to say, hey, does it make sense to have a conversation in regards to this? So that conversation can be a little bit more straightforward, but that's because that person's already shown you so much interest. And don't forget, I know it's something that probably shouldn't be said, but leverage the campaigns as your common source of topic.
Right. Yeah.
Don't call them and say, hey man, how are you doing today? No, man, like they committed a certain action.
Sure.
Talk about that. That can be your common ground. I know it sounds very basic, but some people forget to do that. Just remember to look at what they've done. Maybe do a little bit of pre-research. The 7-step sales process. The first thing you do is research them, know a little bit about them, and then go from there.
Yeah. Well, those are all good topics. I think that's something to keep in mind. Is I think you brought it up. It's just basically if you're a sales guy, salespeople, especially that are under quota or commission. We were all under quota and commission, right? But just don't be a dick. You know what I mean? Like be cool, man. Like don't call people right away. Like, hey, bro, let's do this. Like, you ready to close? You ready to do this? Yeah. Right? I think that's the mentality that a lot of people have, and it feels almost desperate, right? It's just relax, man. Look, call this guy first. Find out what they're looking. Be genuinely interested in helping. I think is the mindset that most people have to have.
Very much
is
so.
Being authentically interested in about helping. I think because people can also pick up on the fake like help. All right, man. So you want? I got that white paper. You want another one, man, or what do you want?
If you ask me for information, I'm not going to send it to you.
Yes, dude. Another ebook, huh?
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Yeah. Did you want to give people? Like, do you care about giving them information because it's going to make this actual conversation way easier, right? So what's been some of the conversations you've had with a lot of your clients in terms of like getting them? I think people all know they want to get started with this.
Yeah.
I think people want to know what they want to do. I think most people have a roadmap or a plan or even a step one, right?
Yeah.
Like step one, what do you think is something people should think about? Like, hey, today's this week, but let's say think Monday. What should I do?
So that's actually a broader question more than even just sales. I think the first thing you need to do is, and this is kind of what we do, right? We build annual plans and we build out kind of our future. Now, you don't have to go that far. Maybe you want to start off with a month. Maybe that's where it's a little bit easier for you. But number one, right? Basic stuff, who your audience is, what I want to talk to them about. But number one, or I guess not number one, but a very important factor of your marketing that also should probably resonate within your sales is, what is my content difference? What's the tilt? What's the specific little niche that I want to fill? And what I mean by that is, as an example, if you were, I know in the last podcast we talked about me playing Warhammer, right?
Yeah.
So what if I did a podcast about Warhammer, which there's thousands of them.
Yeah.
But what if I did mine specifically on terrain? And what if I did mine more specifically on building rivers in terrain? So obviously modeling a river on a table board.
Okay, for those people at home that are listening to this, he's talking about Warhammer.
Yeah, it's
which
just
is some super nerdy shit we talked about our last podcast. But
the idea here is, right, if I'm an MSP, maybe in this case, if we're talking about just in general, maybe we're talking about government or selling to education or whatever it may be. In those engagements, the people that we're marketing to, we have to think about who they are. They may have situations where they're not necessarily the business owner, right? They may have their own job and what they're doing, and they have challenges.
Yeah.
So consider what their persona is, right? What their challenges are. And I personally feel that the educational route can be taken both ways. It can be taken both business and even personally.
Yeah.
So if you know that a lot of people you work with maybe are very big in giving back, philanthropy, that type of thing, why don't you provide some education around that, or how to do those things? Or better yet, if you are so I'm going to market to school systems. I'm going to market to these type of contacts, and I'm going to market to the idea that it's very difficult for them to get funding, let's just say, right? Or obviously they have limitations. How do you work around that? How does that work, right? Find that niche, create that educational value type of content and have your sales team also live and breathe that. So when they engage, right, they follow up on those types of things. I think one of the other things that we didn't talk about that I want to bring up is when you have different folks from a lead perspective, I think one thing that we all need to come to terms with is that someone, regardless, even if they click through, regardless if they show that interest, they're not active. They're not, and there's not an active need. I know we said this before. They're not ready to buy right away, but it's something I really want to drive home. They're not actively ready to buy. They have latent needs in which maybe I need this. I don't know if I need this. Really, how does it help me? Right? Those are the questions that they're asking. So the art of converting a latent need into an active need is what sales is.
Right.
And so I think that helps. And the reason I'm bringing that up, and I'm saying it again, is because I think it helps a lot with some of the team members I've worked with when I've done consulting before, some of the other companies I've worked with that may have trouble managing sales professionals. I think that is one hurdle that they need to get over, is that, oh, well, if that is what sales in, then that's I'm looking maybe in the wrong place or the wrong type of skill set, or maybe I'm not training correctly.
Yeah.
So it's something I want to bring up because I think that a lot of the candid challenges I've seen are not necessarily, I mean, definitely have to do with activities. Activities make everything happen. That's just the reality of how sales works. But I think philosophically, just mentally, there's a lot of hurdles there that end up hurting their activities. They end up hurting how they're going to manage sales because, right, for most of us, we may not be sales professionals who started in the industry, right? More of a technical side effect, or technical background. But essentially, yeah, that's how I would start. The first thing I would do is find out what that niche is as best I possibly could, right? And you can be educational on a business front, on a personal front, provide value, typically provide something they can take away, something tangible is usually easy, something I can implement tomorrow is usually very effective, and then have sales follow up with the same intent. Did you use that document? Can I use more? Do you need more information? How can I help you get that information? Do you have questions around that? Did you even like that? This is, again, we're coming back to the idea that your marketing can become so much better if sales communicates properly to marketing too. Marketing is not the one on the phone, or at least it shouldn't be. If the sales professional is the one on the phone, they can go right back to your marketing department and say, hey, here's the conversations I'm having. Here are the things that they're asking for. Take this information along with the data that you're researching, compile it together, and let's come up with some solutions.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how you grow. That's how you make your marketing better. But that's essentially how I would start and how I would go through it.
No, that's all great advice, man. I think that the way that people are approaching this thing is you have to understand, like you said, people buy based on emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So they use logic to justify that reason to buy stuff. Mm-hmm. But the first thing they're going to do is buy because they like you.
Yeah.
They got to like you, man. So doing your research, finding out about what this person's into, having some common ground to talk to them about is huge. Because when you talk to somebody about something like, hey, man, whatever, Warhammer, right? So the guy's into it, right? You call them, you have a conversation with that about it. Oh, damn, you like Warhammer too? Holy shit, boom. And you guys are like best friends. And then now it's just a matter of like we like each other. Yeah. Does it make sense for us to do business together? But the liking each other part is huge.
Yeah, I mean, we always say that, right? People buy with their emotions and use logic to justify it. I mean, that's the idea. But, and again, it goes right back to how you follow up, because there are multiple levels of victory in a follow-up, right? And I think that's, again, another way to properly manage sales is you have levels of success. So maybe I call and I don't get the appointment today, but maybe I get the feedback and the client has now opened up to me and had a good conversation around what they were looking for. It's not an appointment, but I can provide this to marketing now that provides value. And the key here is I've developed a relationship. They know my name. They got to meet me. Hey, it's Adrian from ABC, ABC IT company, whatever it may be. The idea here is that if you build a relationship and people start to associate a person, a name to campaigning, they will actually open and engage in that campaign more. Yeah. So again, regardless if you're doing inbound marketing only, if you feel that outbound is just interrupt marketing, that is all typically said to people that are trying to sell you their services.
Yeah.
Both are absolutely needed. Both are very successful and usually even better when they're done together.
Yeah, for sure. And it's important to keep in mind, look, and I think this is one thing for everybody at home to pay attention to. Marketing and sales are two completely separate functions. Okay, a lot of people make the mistake of having sales guys and marketing all lumped up into one, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then besides that, I think another big piece that we got to take a look at is that, sales and marketing have to work together.
Yeah.
So these are different functions, but they have to work hand in hand. Sales guys got to give some feedback to the marketing. Marketing's got to give feedback to the salespeople, and you massage it and make it better over a period of time.
Yeah. And then finally, the key to all this is visibility.
Yeah. We're not tracking it. You know what's going on. Dude.
Yeah. If you don't have a way to track your KPIs, if you're not using CRM, obviously we have Honey CRM, right? If you're not using something like that to track it, if it's not within maybe ConnectWise or Autotask, whatever tool you're using, if you're not using your email marketing tool appropriately, right, and watching your click-throughs and everything else, and essentially taking, those numbers, apply them to what you have in appointments and whatever sales, and break it all the way down, right? Again, it's small. I love how we said this the other day. From a football standpoint, you just need 3 yards every play, 3 to 4 yards every play, and you make a touchdown every game. That's what you need. So what's our 4 yards? We just need some feedback. What's our next 4 yards? We just want to know his name. Yeah. What's our next 4 yards? We asked a couple questions. Our next 4 yards, he's interested in something. Our next 4 yards, does it make sense to have a conversation? The next 4 yards, the appointment, proposal, and so on and so forth. But the idea here is that you build it's no different than when you want to have a relationship with anyone in the world. You meet them. The first thing you do is ask questions. You are genuinely interested in them.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows how to work with people, you want to show interest in them. And you don't just want to sell them something. You just genuinely want to know who they are.
Dude, 100% right. I mean, authenticity and being genuine is real. I mean, if you're being fake and full of crap, people are going to pick that up right away. Right. I also say this too, is have a plan, man. Have some kind of plan. Absolutely. That's what this is all about. Like, dude, if you're going out there and trying to make a cake, right? Everyone's seen a cake. Like, oh, damn, that's a good looking cake, right? And they tell you, what's in the cake? Well, it's eggs, flour, salt, sugar. And even if they put the ingredients on the table and you just start randomly throwing shit in a bowl and putting it in there in the oven and just being like, well, I think it's going to make cake come out. And you don't track how many eggs did you put in, what did you do, and you come out and have a shitty cake, right? You're going to keep having a shitty cake until you actually follow some kind of structured plan. Absolutely. Or start reducing variables until you get something that actually works.
As simple as what we used to do. Remember, we used to have our plotter with our 51 steps, right?
Yeah.
Do this first, right? I send out this campaign. I make this call. And you could literally take this. You could, if you really wanted to, you could put this right on your wall. That's something we did, right? Where we could showcase what's going on with all the different prospects. I know it sounds incredibly manual, but it's something that when someone walks by it, they have to see it.
Yeah.
And when they see where you are in those steps, like, hey, maybe these steps are all red. Then the middle steps are yellow. Then the last steps are green, because you know that if you get to the last parts of the conversation, you get to the last parts of how many campaigns, emails, soft touches, whatever it may be, whatever print mail, whatever it is that's part of your process that you've seen that's functioned to generate an opportunity, you can start tracking probabilities of closing ratio, which will give you a better idea of your pipeline and really what's going to close. That's the key here, so that now you can plan, you can work around that. So to that point, your plan can be as convoluted or as simple. Typically simple is easier for everyone to follow. And it's incredibly important to do that. But like I said, I think that the biggest thing that you can take away from this standpoint or from this podcast is activities matter, philosophy matters, and you have to be earnest. You have to be, if your marketing talks about how consultative you are and you have someone call and just want to pitch you all day long, that doesn't make sense. If you're a company who's all pitchy on your marketing and then you call want to be consultative, that doesn't make sense either. Your sales professionals have to be a mirror of who you are. That's why there's things like video, other things, tools to help them kind of pitch the same way the company pitches. But you want to keep it all together. And so ultimately, another component is I think that you should really look at educational type content and educational and value approaches to marketing, because it is very helpful, and it usually is a very easy way for people to engage with you and an easier way for you to make phone calls and reach out and deal with possible, negativity or whatever else.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, Adrian, you brought up a bunch of good stuff here, man. And we're running out of time here, man. But dude, as always, dude, I love talking to you, bro. You're a super good guy. If anybody wants to know, Adrian is been one of the top performing salespeople we've ever had. Just with all the career before we started working here at Tri Digital has been amazing. And he's just a super cool dude. So if anybody wants to reach out to Adrian and find out, hey, what are some scripts or techniques or things that people can think about, how can they get a hold of you, man?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn, Adrian at Tri Digital Marketing. You can also email me, Adrian at Tri Digital Marketing. If you want any scripts, we have scripts. And again, guys, just like we've been talking about in this podcast, I'm completely willing to help and provide whatever information I can. And candidly, I actually learn a lot by helping other folks in their challenges that help me better, prepare myself to work with other folks in Tri Digital, train our people on how to better handle some challenges. It's overall education, and we're all helping each other in the end of the day. So anything you need, reach out to me, and I'll go ahead and give it to you. And anything I can help you with, I will.
Even including Warhammer. So if you guys have some Warhammer questions,
I couldn't help it. I had to use it.
Can they connect with you on social media too, like
Facebook? I do. I have Facebook as well.
So Adrian Q, right?
Yeah,
CUE, Adrian Q. Just look him up, and you can check out his super sick Warhammer collection. All right, everybody. Thanks you very much for tuning in to this episode of Tri Digital. Adrian, thank you, man. I appreciate it. We'll do this again. All right, guys. Take care.